guys, welcome back to another episode of Today with Ray. I'm your host, Rhema T, and this is the show that highlights everyday entrepreneurs. Guys, I'm so excited and honored to talk to this week's guest, Brittany Rincon from Boundless Audio Network. Listen, I know you've seen me each week in this place, but we are talking to the designer of this beautiful room. So, Brittany.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm excited.
Yes, we were just having a giggle fit because she was saying how she's always on the other end, of course, of the room, but to be here sitting in front of the mic just has her super excited, super weird, right? So we have a lot to cover. Again, this beautiful room, the brainchild of, so we're going to open up and tell us a little bit about yourself and why did you become an entrepreneur?
Okay. Well, I feel like if you talk to anyone lately about, how you became an entrepreneur, a lot of people will say like COVID, right?
Oh,
because
yeah.
COVID was a huge change for me. I actually always thought I'd be a teacher. I was a teacher for 10 years and a vice principal for 2 years.
Wow.
And I thought that was going to be my life. And during COVID, I realized that I really enjoyed podcasts. I think a lot of us got on the podcast train during that time. And I thought, wow, there's not a lot of shows that have people that look like me or my story. Yeah. So I started my own show and I, went to YouTube University. And
of course, that's where we all go, right?
Yes, I figured it out and I started a podcast back in 2020 for educators. And very quickly it grew. I got picked up by a network. I had people asking me to be on their shows. Yeah. And I thought, wow, this could be something. And from there, I started to actually help other people start their own shows. So that's where my first business was born. And I did that for about 3 years. So I helped start and launch and grow podcasts for entrepreneurs, primarily women, and also women of color. So that was a big passion of mine. And after that, I realized, wow, maybe education can evolve. And instead of me educating from the classroom, I can educate from this space when it came to media and showing more diverse representation in a podcast space. So I made the transition recently to full-time entrepreneur.
Amazing. I'm just so excited for Brittany. So you left education. First of all, thank you so much for being a teacher. I think that's not appreciated enough. I mean, you spend time with people's kids more than the parents themselves. So I want to stop and applaud you. And a vice principal at that. Like, kudos to you. I could never handle other people's kids. Like,
It's so funny because my husband's also in education.
Okay.
We're teachers, and we always say we have more patience for other people's kids than our own.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's very true. I think that's very true, and I can attest to that with other. Yeah, I can see that.
Yep.
So you left education. You kind of started what was Hello Podcast Media, right? And we just talked off camera, which we'll dive into in a second, but I want to talk about that journey right then and there, that switch to say, hey, I love this. COVID really, it did. All of season, I think, 2 dealt with the pivot switch of COVID and a lot of the boom of entrepreneurship, especially here in Wilmington because of COVID. And talking from your perspective, that switch to say, hey, I like this new avenue, but I don't want to leave education at the same time, but now combining the two in a way that's fitting for you. Talk to us about that time in your life.
It was really interesting because it was exactly what you were saying. I'm a lifelong educator. I actually have my doctorate in curriculum and instruction. So education is a huge passion of mine, and I design curriculum for a living. So. Right. In my brain, the only way of doing that was to create curriculum for children, but now I do it for adults, and it's very different. So I just took all of that knowledge and started to put that into podcasting and the audio space and marketing. And I was able to create these, courses and coaching programs that took everything I learned from education and made it friendly for people who don't know anything about the space, who are just learning.
Right.
Kind of like for that DIYer, so they can figure it out, because it's very inaccessible for everyone to learn these things. And as great as YouTube is, there's so much out there, and you just don't know what to do, where to start, and you need someone to kind of help you. So that's how I really started the business and thought to myself, wow, people are going to pay me to learn this.
Yeah.
They think I'm the expert, and it just grew from there. And I felt a lot of imposter syndrome in the beginning, because
of course.
I was a classroom teacher for so long. What do I really know about this? But after helping a couple of people, I just knew that I knew a little bit more than them, and I could teach them that. And that was enough. And
that is enough.
Yeah, it was enough. Like, I was a couple steps ahead of you. So let me get you there. Let me get you to where I am at.
Yeah.
And it's been great. Some of the people that I started working with, 3-4 years ago are, either still clients today or friends that I've met in real life. So it's been a journey.
Entrepreneurship in itself is a journey. And I think it's so full circle to be talking to you. And I share that because my first ever episode for Today with Ray was for the owner of Elevate, Maggie. And so to be here 3 seasons later, still talking to someone that's impacting my journey, it's full circle. And to know that you saw this gap and this means of saying, hey, I recognize that there are a lot of women or a lot of people that don't look like me, but that want to also start this journey, and not looking at it as a means of competition, like letting them stay to the wayside, but holding your hand out and saying, hey, we can do this together. Like, I got you, you got me. Like, let's do this together. And I think that's really beautiful. And I want to talk about now. So you just shifted from Hello Podcast Media to Boundless Audio Network. Talk to us about that shift, like, or that this new beginning.
Yes. So I was really thinking about what was the next phase for Hello Podcast Media. And as we know, when you're a solopreneur, it's challenging to grow. Like, you really need someone to bounce ideas off of. And I love my husband, but he would just say, that sounds great, honey. Like, he had no idea what I was talking about. So I met Sasha Willis, who was the owner and founder of Boundless Audio Network, which was a podcast network for women of color. She had about 20 shows on it.
Wow.
And I had Hello Podcast Media, which was a production company. And we were talking about just life and how this journey has evolved and what her goals are in the future and what my goals are. And we had the same vision. Our company had very similar visions and mission statements. And I swear, like, a light just went off, and I said, we need to join forces. Like, we can do more together than apart. And, we, as of January 1st, Boundless Audio Network is now my new home.
Yeah.
We acquired Hello Podcast Media. And as of, we this week, we also recently acquired Women of Color Podcasters, or WOC Podcasters.
Yes.
So now we have a network, we have a production company, and we have an online community with 150 women in the space. So it's great to have different avenues all within the space. And then I also own a physical studio as well. So it's a lot.
It is a lot. And you see just how incredibly knowledgeable, incredibly resourceful Brittany is. And again, I'm in awe just to be talking to you. And I joke, but it really is funny when you are on the other side, to really share your story. I don't even think people would really know all of everything else that you're doing, because you're so selfless to say, hey, like, I'm going to help everyone else reach it. So again, very fantastic story. You really just dropped a bomb on us, though, saying that you acquired a network. Can you talk to us and expound on that? You mentioned WOC Network. Like, where do we find that? What is that? You said you have over 100 community members in there.
Yes. So WOC Podcasters was originally started about 6 years ago by Danielle Desir. So she was the original founder of it.
Okay.
an amazing woman. Love her so much. I was a member back in the day, and I've been with that community since it's grown. And it's a lot of different things. So it's an online community where women who are in the podcasting space or host entrepreneurs of color can join for an annual fee. So they pay a one-time annual fee. Not a one-time, but they pay an annual fee. Yeah, thank you.
Gotcha.
And they have access to courses, workshops, accountability calls. You know, we do hot seats, and we give away a lot of information, and we bring in a lot of really great people. So we had back in January the co-founder of Cast Magic, which is some AI software to help you with show notes. So he came and spoke to the community about his tool. We have coming up Jordan Gill, who is the CEO and founder of System Save Me, and she's going to come talk about systems, podcasting, entrepreneur, mental health. We have some really amazing people lined up to help them kind of expand and grow, as a lot of them are entrepreneurs.
Right.
You know, they want to leave their day jobs. They want podcasting or their business to be their primary thing. So we give them those tools to get there. And then, you know, once they've kind of graduated from that, you know, we could take over production as an option, or they can actually join our network. And then when they join our network, you know, we do handle a lot of sponsorship deals for them, and we help them write those scripts and pitches and media kits, and we do all those things for them because we want there to be a network that represents us. And especially, you know, I'm meeting more people in the space, and there are companies that, you know, they really do want to sponsor the whole network, not just individual shows, and we're better united than we are on our own individually.
Of course. So I feel like there's a podcast for everything now, honestly, which we'll talk about that on the later half. But if you are a podcaster out there, especially a woman of color podcaster, which I think is so sacred, that community in itself, not to even go down that path. But if you want a safe space as a woman of color to learn how to podcast, to grow your podcast, definitely all of her links will be in the description, but we are going to take a quick commercial break. That 15 minutes went by so fast. And then we're going to continue talking to Brittany about podcasting and about growing your business. So see you on the other half. Hey guys, it's me, Rhema T. Have you been loving the content from Today with Ray? Well, while I'm working on season 4, make sure you head to the YouTube page and watch all the previous seasons. There's so many gems, so many inspiring stories, so make sure you head there. Oh, and don't forget, hit that subscribe button. Hey guys, welcome back to the episode. Again, we are here with Brittany Rincon, co-owner, is that the right appropriate word? Co-owner of Boundless Audio Network. In the first half, we talked about how much of a rock star Brittany is. She's literally blown me away, and I'm still kind of very much speechless. So in this second half, I already in the first half talked about how you designed this space here at Elevate Co-working here in Wilmington, North Carolina. I really want to pick your brain. Like I mentioned, there's podcasters everywhere. And here in Wilmington, there are a couple of places that you can come and record, but this one is special and different and almost one of a kind because it's set up for visual people like myself. So I really want to pick your brain of how you even got connected with Maggie, because this was originally set up for daycare, in-house daycare.
Yes.
I'm glad it turned into this space so I can use it. But I really want to pick your brain, how you guys met, got connected, and then everything that went into designing this space.
Yeah, it's a fun story. So I met Maggie about a month after I moved to Wilmington.
Okay.
And it was the launch party for Elevate. So this space had just opened. And I came here. I was invited by my realtor.
Yeah.
Who's one of my clients now. And we were fresh to the space, and I wanted to meet people. So I came there and I met her, and I said, I'm in podcasting. And she was like, oh, I really want to do one. Like, I want to do one, with some of the members here. And we kind of played around with the idea for a little bit. And then I said, what would be really cool if we had like a space here. Yeah. I've always wanted to open up a physical location, but it's really challenging to do that. And I felt like this was the right place for it, because it is a female driven co-working space. There was already rooms enough large enough for it. Most of the women that come here are entrepreneurs or in the space.
Right.
So it felt like the right fit in that sense. And also, you know, I'm not taking that huge gamble of opening up my own physical location because I am essentially renting out a space,
right,
you know, in a larger area. So that made it a little bit less of a risk.
Okay.
You know, and then when it came to designing it, it was really, you know, Maggie and I like really, you know, went through Pinterest, looked through a lot of ideas. When you like try to look up podcast studio, you're going to get a lot of very similar looking spaces, a lot of acoustics in the background, you know, dark tables, harsh lighting. And that was not the vibe that I was going for.
Right.
You know, I wanted it to be a visual space first and a podcast studio second. Because eventually I think you could do more in this space than just podcasting. You could record course videos if you wanted, or you could have YouTube shows in here if you wanted, and a lot of other things. So I wanted to make sure that it fit the vibe of Elevate. So if you've never been here, this really fits into the vibe.
Yeah, it does.
It's like very bohemian and lots of bright colors and a lot of greenery. And that was the vibe that I really wanted because, you know, when you're looking on social media, you want to see something different.
Right. That's very true. And I was trying to frame the question. In your shift of like working with a lot of people that have started podcasts and this new transition of everyone wanting to go from just strictly audio to audio visual, I think the space is beautiful. I may be putting you on the spot, but like, do you have any tips for people that like are looking to do that shift? Like, yeah, I've, you know, started audio, but like they want more, kind of like you were saying.
Yeah, there's a lot of really good tips to, you know, implementing video. I think people think you have to go from like 0 to 60. You know, because you don't. Like, it's not like you have to go from, like, recording in your closet to renting out a full studio. Like, there's a lot of steps you could take in between to really add that visual element. So the first thing I would do is you can use your phone. Camera on your phone is amazing. Make sure you have some good lighting. And just have your phone on a stand and record while you're talking into your microphone, you know, and make sure you have a, you know, somewhat decent of a background just so that it matches your brand colors, because I will say that's important. You want to kind of stick with that, you know, vibe and that you've created, that brand, and start there. Like, you don't have to go from an audio only show to a full YouTube show. I think a lot of people think that you have to, and you don't. Most people that have video out there are only really for social media. They only have clips out there, and we're talking like 30 to 90 second at most clips, right? So film just the part of the show that you want to be out there, you know, and then you could just cut that down really easily, like if you were making a reel, and you post it. Yeah. It doesn't always need to be something full. The other thing that's really cool, especially with like virtual interviews, a lot of the platforms now include video. So you can actually take the video from the recording and now use it, and you can upload it to a lot of great AI software right now and create clips with captions and all of that at the click of a button. It's not as challenging as it used to be because of that.
Yeah, that's very true. AI has, it's beneficial in some ways. I know a lot of people that work in like media or anything, they're always talking about how AI is going to take over. But like if you use AI and not let AI kind of like use you, then you're safe. I think that was a great tip, because I know a lot of people, when podcasting is so vast already, and then to add the element was like, hey, we need to do video now because like that's where everything's shifting to, that some people, they do stop and they realize like, I don't have to go at a full 60 miles per hour with this. Like, I think you're correct. I mean, that's how I started. I started with my phone and worked my way up to my fun but bossy producer behind everything. So for those that are like looking to just start, I would say the same thing. Like, you just start somewhere. Like, that was really informative of the phone. Like, these phones, they're not mini computers for nothing. Like,
they actually have great specs.
Yeah, they do.
And because, especially when you film with your phone, it's already vertical. Right. You know, so you don't even have to worry about editing too much. I mean, we already make reels, right?
Yeah, we do.
Or we do stories. It's a very similar concept. There's a lot of social media platforms like Instagram that have native caption generators. Yeah. So you can do it very very affordably, very easily, and then you grow from there. So I think then once you've seen traction and you know what works for you, then you can go into investing in the right place.
Right.
Because what happens a lot, you know, like I'll launch podcasts for clients, you know, a lot of them are entrepreneurs because that's primarily who we work for. And they're like, okay, like I want this to go to like, you know, thousands of downloads and it's going to be this huge show. And, you know, I'm like, okay, well, what are your goals for the show? How is it going to help you grow your business? And they have no idea.
Yeah.
So I think that's really more of a space that we should be worried about when we're starting a podcast, because it is saturated right now. Not to the extent of YouTube, but it is saturated because people are starting them without that knowledge because they're like, everyone's doing it, I should do it.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't end up working out and then they end up fizzling, right?
Very true.
Because they haven't answered that question yet. How is it going to grow your business? And there are very specific ways to do that.
Yeah. Very good tips. Again, if you're looking to start, I got the lady for you. She's right here. You should see my producer. He's behind the camera. I want to talk about the intricacies behind this. Like, I know you can't see it, and maybe Vance can do like a little slow shot to put in here, but it's not just the lights and this nice soundboard that you can stick your nice neon lights into. You literally set up the computer software, the mic software to make it more accessible for people that do want to do the visual side. Like, I have no headphones on. It's really quick, cut, dry for someone that's looking to do it, to come in and say, hey, we got the computers. So, like, how did you get to that point? Like, you said your background is in education.
Yes.
So, like, how difficult was it for you to, like, oh my gosh, this is the computer that I need. This is the audio side that I need. Like, tell us.
I know. It's so funny. Okay, so I obviously already knew a lot about podcasting.
Right.
Because I have produced a lot of shows. So a lot of the equipment that's in this room I already owned.
Right.
So I have a Rodecaster, which is our audio interface. I already had it in my house. A lot of these microphones and stands I already had in my house. So I already knew that aspect of things, but having the visual side of things was something that was brand new to me.
Right.
So I did ask a lot of people that I know. I know of a couple other podcast studios in different areas outside of Wilmington that I was able to chat with.
Okay.
But they're kind of like, they're really techie and they're made for people who really know what they're doing. And when I was setting up this space, I wanted to make it really user friendly. So while there are studios set up with, I don't want to say better equipment, but just a little bit more advanced equipment. I wanted to make sure someone who really is just learning could come in here, you know, pop in their SD card into a camera, into the soundboard there and just go. And that's how I designed this space.
Yeah.
So I make it as easy as possible. And there are a couple bells and whistles in here. If you have a producer, I film in here with clients, so I am the producer for them. But if you're just DIYing it and want to come in and hit record and sit in front of a camera, you can.
Yeah.
So one of the ways that we do that is in order to, when you book the space, you have to book a first time session. And I come in here with you, I ask you about your show, and I'll show you how to use the equipment if you want to DIY it. And then after that, you could just book it by the hour.
Amazing.
Yes.
Again, total rock star, like full package, come in, you get her the first time, which is beyond monetary value at this point. I mean, you're gonna pay, but like the time that you get to spend with her is incredible. So you briefly mentioned that you do come in here and you're the producer for certain things. When they come to get your services, what's all included with that? Like, are you just the behind the scenes person that's making the cuts? Are you doing the social media for them? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes. So it really depends on what they're looking for.
Okay.
So obviously the baseline is just using the space on your own.
Right.
But if you really want someone to sit behind there, I'll cut live, especially if you have a guest, so that you have one file of video that matches up, and then you also have another file with the higher quality audio.
Okay.
And then I'll just give that to you in a Google Drive link, and you just take it on your way. But then if you are just someone who's like, you know what, I just don't I want to focus more on what happens after the podcast than just creating the podcast.
Okay.
Then we definitely got you. So I've got an amazing team. We are all women.
Mm-hmm.
There are 6 of us, and we have editors and social media, graphic designers, everything. And so we will do the whole thing from soup to nuts.
Wow.
So we have a couple clients who use this space.
Yeah.
They literally come, sit with their guests, they chat, and they leave. And we will produce it. We will upload it, schedule it. We will write the show notes, create the graphics, do the whole thing for them, so that they really can just focus on the business that they have and the fact that this is really just their marketing tool for it.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yes.
So you heard it first. I mean, if you have a podcast, it doesn't even have to be here in Wilmington, I guess, to do the social media side of everything. Yes. I'm telling you, I got the people for you guys. I mean, I just keep coming week after week, just telling you there's amazing people here in Wilmington, North Carolina that you guys got to know about. Brittany, I have one more question for you. What would be your advice to someone who's looking to be an entrepreneur?
I think my biggest piece of advice is it's not as hard as you think it is, and no one knows what they're doing.
I mean, you couldn't be more direct with your answer.
I say that too because, like, you meet people who are doing the things that you want to do, and when you really get to know them, you realize that everyone really is, like, you know, flying the plane while they're building it.
Yeah,
you know, and
very much so.
It feels amazing to know, like, oh, like, it's not me. Like, everyone is really figuring this out as you go along, and there's such a great community out there of entrepreneurs that you don't have to do it completely by yourself. So many people will really help you, you know, for free and help you get those basics to get started. But you have to be passionate about it, and you have to put the time and the work into it, because it's definitely not a get rich quick scheme.
No.
You know, it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. But my next big piece of advice is to definitely build a brand, build an asset, build something that if one day you needed to walk away from, it could live without you. And that should be like a long-term goal, because a lot of people are just building something that's solely reliant on them, and then they get burnt out. So you want to be able to have some sustainability, especially if you want it to be full-time.
Wow. What $100 worth, like, answer. Like, I mean, just back to back, just got the 2-piece of that, the second half. I don't think anyone on this show has said that, to build something that you can one day walk away from, which is hard when you think about it in the infancy of your business, because it's your baby. Mm-hmm. But the goal is to build something, have employees, to where you can be like on a beach somewhere.
Yes, that's the goal.
That's the goal.
That's the lie you see, I think, on social media, right? It's like, I own my own business and look at me at the beach, you know, and that's what everybody's trying to get there. And I think the reality is there's a lot of work that goes behind
There's
the scenes.
a lot of work. There's a lot of work. And that's the whole reason of starting the show, to debunk and deglamorize entrepreneurship. We are human. We don't know what we're doing, according to Brittany. And that's okay.
It's okay.
That is okay. That is okay. Brittany, this was such an amazing and fun interview. Thank you so much for being on this side of the mic with me.
Thank you for having me. It was such a great experience. I don't do this often.
Yes. So I want to thank Brittany, which I think I should thank her twice. Thank you for being on the show. I always thank Elevate Co-working for this beautiful space, but she designed the space, so thank you again. And thank you to Vance, my producer with Truth and Image. And of course, thank you for watching this episode. Until next time, I'm Rhema T. Go out and support a local business. Bye. Hey guys, it's me, Rhema T. And I hope at the end of this episode, you felt super inspired to shop within your local community. But make sure to tune in next week, where I'll have another entrepreneur to talk about their journey. Here, only on YouTube.